I'm Vayoni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views and entertainment from Boston and USA. Sri Lankan Chief Justice before the Parliament Select Committee. Attorney Saliya Peiris, one of the CJ's attorneys, discussed about the threats against the independence of the judiciary. Visuvanathan Ruthirakumaran is a liar, says former LTTE International head KP. Asela Premachandra, fight continues to get justice for his brother Bharatha Premachandra. Sri Lanka's Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranayake appeared with her lawyers and remained in front of the Parliament Select Committee about 90 minutes last Friday, defending the 14 charges against her. Lawyers shouted slogans condemning the impeachment motion and cheered for Chief Justice as she left the Supreme Court to face the Select Committee in the Parliament. If the Select Committee determines that the complaint has merit, an impeachment motion will be voted on and forwarded to President Mahinda Rajapaksa for further action. Senior lawyer Saliya Peiris travelled with Chief Justice in her car to the Parliament, who appeared for her along with President's counsel Ramesh De Silva. Attorney Saliya Peiris spoke to Boston Lanka when he was in USA about the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice. He was not retained to represent the Chief Justice when he spoke to Boston Lanka. Attorney Peiris, if I'm not mistaken, you have referred in one of your articles that there is a grand plan to crush what those in power see as a judicial dissent. Why do you think like that?
Let's put it this way, in my article, I didn't say there was a grand plan. I said people might think there was a grand plan that the people in power are trying to crush dissent in the judiciary. So I think, I don't want to say there is a grand plan, but let people who know and people who study the history of the last many years, but especially during the last 3 months, I think intelligent people can come to a conclusion themselves whether there is a grand plan or not.
According to the Constitution, Parliament needs 113 votes to remove the Chief Justice. Now the impeachment motion already has 117 signatures. So in other words, 117 members of Parliament accuse CJ with all these charges, and they are the ones who will be voting in the Parliament to pass the motion. Don't you think this is a little bit comical or tragic? CJ's fate has already been decided. Do you agree?
I do not want to comment on the parliamentary proceedings, but once again, in the normal process we are used to, the judicial process, you find one party accusing, a different party judging, a third. So what you might find in a normal criminal case, the Attorney General or the police might make the accusations. There will be an impartial judge who tries the case, who listens to the evidence and comes to a conclusion. I must say I have my grave concerns when the accuser also judges. I have my grave concerns.
According to many members of the legal profession, the Sri Lanka Bar Association has been very ineffective in protecting the independence of the judiciary. Some senior lawyers in Sri Lanka has gone on record saying that its leadership has no backbone to stand up for the independence of the judiciary. What do you have to say to that?
I think in all fairness to the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa, I think what he has been trying to do is to get all parties to come into some common ground when decisions are taken. Now the problem when we try to say common ground is there are people who come to the Bar Council or the Bar Association meetings and they come with an agenda, with a political agenda of their particular party. Now this is the problem which I think it is not only the Bar Association but many organizations face. There is a deliberate attempt to undermine the independence of these institutions. So just as much as there has been an attempt to undermine the judiciary, I think there has been an attempt to undermine the independence of the Bar Association. So you find that people with political agendas come in and try to take the bar on a course to suit their political ends. Now this is very unfortunate because over the years, if you look at the history of the Bar Association has had a history of being independent, of raising issues without fear, without favor, not being frightened of the government. At the same time, taking an independent stand. You have found people like Mr. H.L. De Silva, President's Counsel, who it was known that he used to appear for so many cases of the government, of the SLFP. He would take an independent stand. Mr. Ranjit Abesuri, President's Counsel. They found these are people who took independent stands. I think one of the most eminent presidents of the Bar Association we have had was Mr. Desmond Fernando, who was fearless, as well as Mr. Romesh De Silva. So, President's Counsel. So all these, the presidents of the Bar Association have taken an independent line. I don't wholly blame the present office bearers of the Bar Association, but I think the Bar Association has to be more decisive. It should be more decisive, and you can't delay. There are certain decisions which have to be taken promptly. Otherwise, there will be criticism of the Bar Association.
The so-called Prime Minister of the transnational government of Tamil Eelam, Visuvanathan Ruthirakumaran, willfully pretending to be ignorant of what happened after February 2009, says Kumaran Padmanathan, or widely known as KP, in an interview with DBS Jairaj. When asked about Eric Solheim's recent comment that LTTE leader Velupille Prabhakaran prevented the attempts to bring ceasefire at the last stages of the war with LTTE and how Ruthirakumaran publicly refuted Solheim's comments, KP said, "What Eric said is 100% true. There were such moves and it was blocked by the LTTE leadership. If those moves had been allowed to proceed, much of the bloodshed may have been averted. Many leaders of the LTTE may have been alive today." According to KP, there was a crucial meeting that happened in Malaysia, attended by KP, his assistant Joy Maheswaran, Ruthirakumaran representing the LTTE, and a key Norwegian official who represented Eric Solheim, and the Norwegian ambassador in Colombo, Tord Heitram. At that meeting, according to KP, he had begged Norway to bring about a ceasefire to save the lives of the LTTE leaders, fighters, and the people in LTTE held areas. But Norwegian ambassador was very blunt and direct and told them that LTTE was being boxed into a small piece of territory and that it was only a matter of time before the army advanced further and annihilated the Tigers. Then KP had reached LTTE leadership and they have rejected the idea of laying down arms and wanted KP to try to get a ceasefire without any concessions on the part of the LTTE. In the interview, KP goes on to point out that Solheim spoke the truth and it is Ruthirakumaran who is not being truthful. Then he relates how Ruthirakumaran missed much of the discussion. It's because Ruthirakumaran had gone to Bangkok for the meeting when asked to come to Kuala Lumpur where the meeting was held. KP had to send someone to Bangkok to help Ruthirakumaran to reach Kuala Lumpur later. Of course, Norway reimbursed Ruthirakumaran's airfare from New York to Bangkok to Kuala Lumpur. The court case of Bharatha Lakshman's murder is proceeding slowly with many twists, surprises, and sometimes adding humor. Recently, attorney Hemantha Varnakulasuriya became a laughing stock with his legal colleagues when he threatened Bharatha's daughter, Hirunika, with contempt of court charges for breaking coconuts after court proceedings outside the court premises. When CID officers are not following the orders of the magistrate in this case, it is sad and comical to hear that Attorney General's Department may bring contempt of court charges against the daughter of the deceased, who is demanding justice for her father. However, according to the news reports, the learned magistrate has rightly responded by stating that it is due to the failures of the Criminal Investigations Department and Attorney General's Department in carrying out his orders that protests have taken place. We now join with the late Bharatha Premachandra's brother, Asela Premachandra. Asela, there is a saying that justice delayed is justice denied. Is it realistic to believe that justice will be ever done for your brother?
It's a good question. The way the things going on in Sri Lanka, particularly with regards to a judiciary, one could really doubt that. We believe there are still good people in police service as well as Attorney General's Department. As a matter of fact, I have a friend actually I met a few years ago. I know he's an honest man. He works for Attorney General's Department. I think there are good people in Sri Lanka, but the question is whether they have the strength and the backbone to do the right thing. So I am hopeful, but cautiously optimistic about that.
If you have no faith in the police, Attorney General's Department and the government to do justice for your brother, what are the other options you are considering?
Actually, we would consider all the options that are available to us. I wouldn't like to comment on that in public because there can be some negative publicity for that kind of comment, but we would consider all the options that are available to us at that point in time.
Now, after your brother's death, his daughter Hirunika has been fighting to have justice for her father, sometimes all by herself, and there are many obstacles that she has to face, like the threat of Duminder's lawyer to bring contempt of court charges. Tell me, how do you look at the challenges Hirunika is facing?
First of all, I have to categorically state our love and support for Hirunika is unconditional. If it weren't for her, this whole thing would have been swept under the rug long time ago. And now what they're trying to do is they want to silence her first. It can be done in many different ways. Throwing legal suit at her, saying that she has to charge her for a contempt of court. So one way to do it. The other way is bringing down her credibility, such as dragging her to a political stage and asking her to make a speech, and that kind of pressure comes with it, particularly from the people who should protect her, nurture her, provide for her. Unfortunately, those people are using her for their petty political aspirations, to fulfill their petty political aspirations. Now she's being pressured from all four corners, and there's another side that this family is a political family. My brother has been in the parliament for almost 10 years, so their family friends are politicians. The families from politicians, and they also, the school of thought say that, okay, do not go against the president in order to get the justice for your father's death. So they say, okay, be with the government, support the government, and then at the same time try to get the justice for your father's murder, because that's probably more effective than going against the government. So all these things. So this girl has to live with all this pressure. So sometimes she does things that for other people that they see them as very inconsistent. So that's what she's faced with now. So but whatever happens, I believe because of Hirunika, this is still right. But if it wasn't for Hirunika, I say it again, this case would have been closed a long time ago.
If you get a chance to talk one-on-one with President Rajapaksa, what would you say to him?
I have a lot to say to him, but if I sum up that into a few sentences, I would say, you knew my brother's life was in danger, and you didn't do anything to protect his life. Now my brother is gone. At least please bring those who are responsible for my brother's death to justice, so that for his family, for us, and for thousands of people who loved him very dearly can have some kind of closure.
That concludes our news edition. We meet you again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.